Good morning, Grace Place. I'm happy to bring you this morning's devotion on the fruit of the Spirit from Galatians 5:22. This is what the Word of God says. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And today's focus is on the word peace. Now, the universal symbol for peace is the dove, and I think it's a very fitting symbol. Doves are beautiful and gentle, but they're also skittish and uneasy creatures. It doesn't take much to frighten them away. A quick motion or a loud noise and off it goes. If you want a dove to stay around, you have to be thoughtful and careful about how you speak and act. Part of what makes peace such a precious commodity is that it's rare. Look at our world, and you can see that we don't have peace in any direction. There's no political peace, no economic peace or social peace. Strife and conflict are all around us. After World War II, the leaders of the world were concerned about avoiding future conflicts, and so they got together and developed the United Nations as an agency for preserving world peace. And the motto of the United Nations is to have succeeding generations free from the scourge of war. And since that time, there has not been one day of peace on earth, not one day without war. See, the world tries to make peace by eradicating conflict, but that will never work. What they don't realize is that the disorder of this world is nothing more than a projection of the turmoil within us. And maybe you've heard about the man who was shipwrecked and stranded on a desert island. For several months, he scratched out a living foraging for food, and finally a passing ship saw his SOS and sent a rescue party. And when the boat arrived, the captain noticed that there were 3 huts. So he asked the man, what are these huts for? And the castaway pointed to the first one and said, well, that's my house. And that one over there, that's my church. And a bit confused, the captain asked, well, what's the third one then? And the man replied, oh, that's where I used to go to church. Even when we're alone, we don't have peace because people don't have peace in their hearts. That's the real issue. Peace is more than merely the absence of conflict. It's the presence of the Spirit of God. And the Bible calls Jesus the Prince of Peace in Isaiah 9:6. And how far did the Prince of Peace go to make peace with us? Well, to death. According to Colossians 1:20, Jesus made peace between us and God by the blood of his cross. And so to be at peace means that we not only recognize that, but that we trust in and demonstrate that peace as an expression or a fruit of God being inside us. That's why Jesus says peacemakers are blessed, because they're the sons of God. Peace lives within them. I know this season is filled with turmoil and worry and stress, and for some it might be the stress of having the kids in the house all day with nothing to do. For others it might be the anxiety of being out of work and wondering how you're going to pay the bills. And for others still, it might be the sense of vulnerability, wondering if or when this unseen virus will strike. So I urge you to remember that our peace comes not from storehouses filled with Lysol wipes and hand sanitizer, but from our trust and dependence on the Lord of the universe, who commands the wind and the waves, and they obey him. And I'll leave you with these words from Romans chapter 8. In the same way the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We don't know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called, and those he called, he also justified, and those he justified, he also glorified. What then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, what virus can be against us? He who did not spare his own Son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things, including peace?